for you, Matt, what have been your career highlights? Don't look at my question. Stop that.
Sorry. Career highlights is probably, for me, 30th Bond was a really special project, and that was great. Getting to work on that, getting constantly pushed to put the best possible solution on the table by the client. And usually you don't get that all the time. In fact, very rarely do you get a client who just wants the best possible solution. So that was fantastic.
Have you, Matt too?
Career highlights. I think one of the great career highlights to me is the people that I've met along the way. That's what I think is really special about WSP Lincolne Scott. Is the great people we've got in all offices, and I was really lucky to have the opportunity to work with a lot of those people. So that was a real highlight for me. In terms of project highlights, probably the Sovereign building in Auckland.
Yeah, it's a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah, my sort of highlight as a project. Those big projects that push the boundaries like 30 the Bond, they can be pretty tough going when you're in the middle of them. And you don't always see that it's going to be such the great outcome that it was, but it certainly was a fantastic project.
Definitely by the time you're halfway through construction,
just
over it.
Yeah.
You can never go back to the building again.
Yeah.
And for those people watching who don't understand what a sovereign building is, just briefly describe why it's different and why it's so enjoyable.
Yeah, I guess from a building services perspective, it was a building. The brief from the client was we want the most innovative solution we can come up with. We want the most cost-effective in terms of operating costs for the next 18 years. So that was the brief we had to work with. It was two very, very simple statements, and that drove some quite innovative solutions for the Auckland market. It was the first chill beam job. It's the largest multi-service chill beam job in Australasia, and from an aesthetic perspective, all the building services in the building are exposed. There's no ceilings, there's no coverings, everything's fully exposed. So it requires a sort of a next level in terms of the detailed engineering that went into it. So yeah, it's real challenging, but a lot of satisfaction from being part of it.
Everyone goes through highs and lows in their career. But you two, obviously, there are highs, but there are lows. Can you ever, Matt, think about Matt 1? Think about a low you've had, and then maybe how you dealt with that. That shouldn't be working with me, please.
Now. No, look, I had a period where I did group IT, and that ended up.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and that ended up in a pretty painful place, and so I had to sort of take a step back and think about what I was going to, what really mattered to me and what I wanted to be achieved, and it was the right decision. It was a good time to get out of it, and a good time to really focus on grand design.
And you, Matt?
Probably the most recent one would be 12 months ago, I think, in terms of the first quarter of 2009.
It was very nice.
I sort of recently taken over the Auckland market again, so it gave me that office in the middle of recession, which I'll always be thankful for.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
well, it was quite hot. We had to pass it on fairly quickly.
That's right. Yeah. So the first 3 months, the market was pretty flat. It was more work dropping away than there was coming in the door, and that was a pretty difficult time. But it was just about, I guess, sort of reconciliating, focusing on what was important, which was good quality clients, having the right people in the office, doing the right roles, and just getting back to the basics of running the business. Really, we got through it as a team in Auckland.
Yeah. Lucky you had some good regional support as well.
Well, yes, we would be nowhere without that.
Now, I suppose one of the other questions is what advice would you give to the graduates who are here watching us today? You pan across them. they are actually here. Some of them came in t-shirts today, but that's Faye on the end. She's not a graduate. Here we are again. Thank you, Max. So, what advice would you give to, other than dress sense, to some of the graduates that are sitting here today?
I think my advice would be open to the opportunities that come along, and be open to experiencing new things. So if you have an opportunity to work in a different market, or to work under someone new, or work on a different project, especially when you're a graduate, encourage you to grab hold of that with both hands, because everything that you do differently will only help to make you a more well-rounded and successful engineer. So I think that's pretty key. I think the thing I was sort of mentioning before about coming up with a plan or an approach to get time in front of senior engineers is pretty key, and be proactive with that. Don't sit back and expect all the assistants to come to you. Go out and make it happen for yourself.
I reckon that, it's so important not to be afraid. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, but the worst thing you can do is try and cover them up. So if you can push the envelope in everything you do, but then get actively seek input and actively seek feedback from what you're doing, and that closed loop really does make it. I said it before in my presentation. If you can share learned experiences with your clients, they really appreciate what you're doing. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, but also learn from them and don't cover them up.
Okay, I think that basically about wraps up our interview. Unless any of you guys have got any questions. That's rather disappointing from our graduates. We have no questions.
We always have lots of questions.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But you did have a week to come up with them.
That's right.
We did.
Yeah.
Did they take you out the night and had a few beers last night? Anyone? Yeah.
Drinks.
Yes.
Might have been one or two.
So anyway, that basically wraps it up. So that's congratulations for your 10 years, and I can't believe you're supposed to look a little bit like graduates.
Do we get a 50-inch?